Hello everybody, how you doing? That's me there. Right, quick show of hands then. How many of you booked a ticket on the train line? Have you done that before? Booked a train ticket online? Yeah. Booked a hotel with Marriott.com? Done that? Ritz-Carlton? Any high rollers in the house? Yeah, a few of you. Let's talk later. Bought anything on eBay? Ever bought anything on eBay? Returned anything on eBay? Bought a Raspberry Pi? Any point? Brilliant. So pretty much everybody in this room has used something that I designed over the last 14 years. Martin gave you a great introduction, so I've worked with people like Disney and eBay and Marriott and lots of other people to make their products better. But what I'm going to talk to you today about all started with a book. I found this on my mother's bookshelf when I was 15. My mum's a psychologist, all right? I know, walking cliche right here. Also a psychologist myself. I found this when I was 15 on my mum's bookshelf. How to read, imagine 15-year-old finding this book. You're like, yes, the keys to the kingdom. Here we go. And you can imagine how well the disco went on Friday night after reading this book. As this awkward teenage boy is trying to put all this body language stuff into practice. But it taught me an important lesson. It's my first interest in psychology, but it also taught me an important lesson about psychology, and I'm going to share that with you today. That when psychology hits the real world, you can never be quite sure if it's going to work or not. But what I am going to talk to you about today are kind of two strategies to use psychology to supercharge your products. We'll talk about psychology to improve your interaction and experience, and then we'll also, at the end, talk a bit about psychology and a rather overused word, which is innovation and experience. But it all started for me, as Martin said. I spent a lot of my time as a user experience consultant dealing with this. You've all been there. I heard this for about 14 years. And then recently, this is the work that I'm doing. I mentioned some of the companies I've worked with previously. I'm working at the moment with people like Booking.com, Raspberry Pi Foundation, Alfresco, big software company, and this is what I help people do at the moment, all right? Do the right things in the right order for the right reasons. And also, and I'm going to share with you today, I also help organizations like yourself when something goes horribly wrong, that product goes out there and you're losing shareholder value, if you know what I mean. All right, so as I promised, two strategies for psychology. The first one I'm going to talk to you about today is how to use psychology to design better products, all right? We're all here, and I'm going to take you back to the old days, back to, recognize this? Know this website? This is Wikipedia. This is Wikipedia from about 2010, specifically Reese Witherspoon's birthday. Has no relevance, but I thought I should tell you that anyway. And this is pre-Wikipedia going through a redesign. And yeah, I know what you're thinking right now. I know exactly what you're thinking. Yes, I am wearing a bum bag, by the way. It's not that I want to point out to you here, but I know what you're thinking about Wikipedia, and that's this little bad boy down here. Look at that. Oh, yeah, let me zoom that in. Ooh. Yeah? You hear what I'm saying? Yeah, you do. Instinctively, we're all amazing, we all understand that is wrong, don't we? That's on so many levels, that's wrong. How this works is you type Reese Witherspoon in, you hit go, it takes you directly to Reese Witherspoon's page. If you type Reese Witherspoon in here and hit search, it will take you to the list of all of the films that Reese Witherspoon's been in. So, Legally Blonde 1, Legally Blonde 2, anyway, that's what this little interface does. Pretty horrible, okay? And there's got to be a better way of explaining it, other than that's pretty nasty. We can use psychology to explain what the problem is and figure out what to do about it, how to redesign this using psychological principles. And I'll take you back to school. Now, as a psychologist, so I studied psychology, so I studied neuroscience initially, and then I went to university and I studied human-computer interaction at master's level. And what was interesting about that study is it taught me a lot about the frameworks psychologists use to frame problems that we all suffer from day to day. And this is a problem I still suffer from a bit now, is right, points of a compass, okay? I can do these two really well, but I struggle with that right? Is that right? How do you remember the points of a compass? There we go, never eat shredded wheat, yeah? We all know that one. If Americans never eat soggy waffles, I believe is what you say. But you get the point. This, in a nutshell, tells you what is wrong with Wikipedia's search page, okay? But a bit of psychology to justify why it's wrong. So there are two types of knowledge. These are a bit different from the ones Emily mentioned. We have one type of knowledge which is called declarative knowledge, and this is facts, okay? We, as humans, are dreadful at remembering facts. So the difference between East and West, really bad at, really awful at that sort of stuff, okay? Remembering the capital, what's the capital of Uganda? You're thinking, it's hard, it takes a lot of mental effort and load to understand, remember what the capital of Uganda is, Kampala, by the way. No round of applause for pulling that little nugget out there. Anyway, we're really bad as humans at facts, dreadful at this sort of stuff. So what we do is we compensate by never eating shredded wheat, number one, but we transform facts into sequences. This is exactly what we do, okay? And this is what's called procedural knowledge, okay? Facts are called declarative knowledge. We're bad at it. It takes mental effort. So therefore, we convert everything into procedural knowledge of sequences, and you know what? We are much better at this as humans, all right? Other examples are turning a screwdriver. Which way do you tighten it? How do you remember that? Yeah, that's it. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, okay? There's a nugget there just before lunch, all right? If you didn't already know, that's going to transform your life, that one. But that's what we do. We take knowledge and we build structures around it. We build them into sequences, and it helps us remember stuff. It's much, much better for us as humans to do that kind of stuff. So the two types of knowledge are these two, all right? And you can see this in the real world in terms of interfaces, all right? One of these is declarative, one of these is procedural. So with the Apple, iPhone, iOS, you have to type in a number. What type of knowledge is that? It's remembering a number? Declarative, I used to be a primary school teacher, sorry, so I'm going to get a bit like that with you. And then the other one which we have is drawing a shape in terms of the other one we've got here, which is Android. What type of knowledge is that? Yeah, it's sequential. It's that kind of procedural knowledge. The shape is a process. Step 1 reminds us of step 2, reminds us of step 3, reminds us of step 4. Okay? Great stuff. It works incredibly well. Where do 95% of Android unlock patterns start? Have a guess. Top left, okay? Where do they go from there? Towards the top right. There you go. Problem with sequential stuff is it's easy to guess because us humans are predictable, all right? So again, sequential knowledge, step 1 reminds us of step 2, reminds us of step 3, reminds us of step 4. Our brains are structured in that way, which means it's easy for us to predict what people are doing and what they get wrong, okay? Declarative knowledge, hard, high mental load. Procedural knowledge, sequential, much, much easier and a lower cognitive load for us to design for. So back to Wikipedia, the sequential knowledge of designing a search box. Where do us humans go on a desktop? I'm showing you a desktop because it's a bit easier and bigger to talk about. Where do we go? What's the first step in a sequence of going to search for something? Where do we look for the search box? Top right. Yeah, you got there. So that's step 1 in the sequence. Now, remembering step 1 helps us remember what step 2 is. What's step 2 in a sequential knowledge of designing a search box? What are we looking for? A box. Yeah, there we go. The clue's there. Absolutely. So step 2 is looking for a box. All right? We type something in. That's the sequence we go through. What's step 3? What do we expect to do next? What do you expect to do? Yeah, hit the search button. We type something in, we're looking for a box and a button. Now, some of you are probably working with very clever designers that hate clutter and like to remove the search box, yeah? What's the problem when you remove a search box? What do you break? You break the sequence, okay? People are looking, where's the search button going? Even if you can hit enter, a lot of people don't, a lot of users and a lot of user research, they don't know to hit enter to hit it. You take the button away, you break the sequence, you break that sequence of knowledge, you destroy the search box, okay? So again, this is sequential knowledge. This is procedural knowledge on a larger scale on how to design a search box. Pretty straightforward stuff. And it relates to another psychological concept called axioms. What axioms are a statement or proposition which is basically regarded as being self-evidently true. It's something we all trust that it's going to be the case that users are going to be able to use it, okay? A search box on the top right-hand side of an interface is a classic design axiom. Can you think of any others? I've got one for you. What do you expect to happen when you hit on the logo, you press the logo on any mobile or desktop site? What do you expect to happen? You go back to the home page. That's a classic design axiom. You wouldn't mess with that, would you? You wouldn't, suddenly hit that and then, you've signed yourself up to receive emails under the GDPR regulations. You wouldn't mess with that. Well, maybe you would, but you shouldn't mess with that sort of stuff. But again, that's the sequential knowledge. That's the procedural knowledge flows. People know that they do that. Step 1 is to go click. Step 2 is to go there and do it. It's through design axioms. Any more? Contact us. Where does that go on a website or a page? Top right. Yeah. Where would you expect to find the shopping cart or shopping trolley? Top right. Okay. What would you expect to be looking for? Shopping trolley, shopping cart, you get the point. All of these are design axioms, all right? Now, I did hear one person mention it. Is this, our old friend the hamburger menu, is that design axiom? Does it fit with that justification of being self-evidently true? Does everybody understand that this is a design axiom? Will this fit into a sequential knowledge flow? course not. I was lucky enough to work a few years ago for MoMA. And one of the goals we had for the redesign of MoMA, I mean, a guy from Bristol like me working for a large, one of the best art museums in the world, wonderful, wonderful gig. One of the things we had to do was improve ticket sales. And they were like, oh, we need to A/B test these two variants. Did we need to A/B test these two variants to tell you which one of these two is going to sell more tickets? Honestly, all right? The sequential knowledge tells us that. People are looking for the start of that sequential knowledge flow, which is words like buy or ticket or entry. The start and design axiom helps you start a procedural knowledge flow. A hamburger menu is never the start of any user journey ever. Never. Stop using them. Give me a round of applause for saying that. Thank you. Now. Except. I have a confession to make. Marriott have just redesigned. We introduced one at Marriott. Is this being recorded? I'm sure I can tell the story. We introduced one at Marriott, and do you know what we used it for? This was brilliant. So we took everything that was important, like Marriott, booking a hotel, checking your reward points. Basically, those are the two things that you want to do on Marriott.com. And we put those front and center on the website, front and center on the navigation at the top of the site. What do we use the hamburger menu for? Guess what we put in the hamburger menu? All the stuff we didn't want to deal with in the organization. So Marriott sell duvets, they sell timeshares, all of this kind of stuff. We put all our stakeholder debt in the hamburger menu. There's a little trick for you. If you don't want to deal with all the stakeholders in your organization, put their stuff in the hamburger menu. Oh yeah, you're in the main menu, you're on every page of the site. Users aren't going to go there. Brilliant. Solve that problem for the future. Oh, well, thank you. I can tell you all work with stakeholders. This is brilliant, because normally if I do this at a developer conference, they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You're all clapping in that fact. Useful tip. All right, back to Wikipedia then. So Wikipedia redesigned, all right? They redesigned, and did they take the principles of procedural knowledge into account? Fingers crossed, did they do it? Yeah, not bad. Yeah, they did. Guess where they put the search box? Up on the top right. Fantastic. They got rid of the two buttons. Fantastic. Pretty good. They put the search box at the top right there. Well done, Wikipedia. Great redesign. Wonderful. All the team were high-fiving each other. They wrote one of those wonderful blog posts about how amazing they are and how we redesigned the search box to improve people's lives. They pushed it live. What happened? Did it go down well? Oh, no. Of course not. Existing Wikipedia users were up in arms. You should read the blog post. It's wonderful. It's like, oh, yeah, we did this amazing thing for you users. We moved the search box. And then the comments were like this, all the way down. Search box on the left, please. Left, please. Left, please. 97% of all people want the search box on the left. When will this finally be fixed? Outcry. Why? What theory that I've talked to you about would have predicted that this would have happened? You're right, procedural knowledge. Procedural knowledge of existing Wikipedia editors. George Schultz is an editor, by the way. Every day they have the procedural knowledge flow of going to Wikipedia, going to the left-hand side, looking for the search box, hitting go to get to the Reese Witherspoon page to edit it. They built up incorrect procedural knowledge flows in terms of the existing experience that was there. All right? They hated it. People hate change. This is why people hate change. You break existing patterns of behavior, even if they're the wrong ones. And don't get me wrong, 97% of all new users to Wikipedia have found the search interface far, far easier. The problem was the vocal 3%. Now, I mentioned earlier on one of the things that I do for the organizations I work with is they call me in when stuff goes wrong. This is the number one reason when I get called in stuff goes wrong, is you push something live, it creates change, your existing users hate it, even though it's better. They still hate it. But there's what you can be sure is George Schultz is immediately on the phone to all of his mates, and they're all swamping you, writing to the Daily Mail saying this is outrageous. That's the stuff that your chief executive hears, that's what your CEO hears, that's what your senior stakeholders hear when you fix things. All right? You're not fixing things as far as they're concerned. You've broken something, and they've got outcry. This is the biggest reason I get called into companies. All right? Be careful what you change. Moving on. And how do you change them? What's the best way to approach it? Anybody heard the eBay story? So eBay, brilliantly, this is a fantastic story. eBay changed the background color of their site very early on from white to yellow. Outcry, oh, we hate it, eBay have changed, they're not like they used to be. eBay, you've lost your soul, oh, eBay. Unfortunately, eBay changed it back. As soon as you give in to your users, they've got you. They've got control over you. They know that they can change stuff. Bad move. That's the first thing I tell my clients when this happens is don't change it back. But one very clever engineer wrote a little bit of tech, a little bit of code, and incrementally over the course of about 3 months, changed it day to day from yellow to white, slowly, 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 slowly. Did the George Schultzes of this world notice? Of course they didn't. Change is slow and gradual. I know that's a hard thing to hear, but that's how people prefer to feel change. A big change in one go, never liked. All right, so basically what I'm telling you to do here, designing your interfaces, understand the axiom, understand the procedural knowledge flow, and design to that. Now you're thinking, Joe, but you said you promised us innovation. You're basically telling us to go and copy all of the interactions that our competitors are probably doing, that everybody else is doing on the internet right now. And do you know what? Yes, I am, all right? Interaction is not the place to innovate. It's not. It's simply not. If people are buying, trying to check their balance in their bank account, it's not time to do something crazy with animation. People are trying to book a hotel, it's not the time to sort of push things up in their face and do some crazy stuff to innovate in terms of the hotel booking experience. It's not, all right? Don't mess with the interaction. Trust your interaction designers to do that stuff and innovate in different ways. And here's how. Here's how to use psychology to innovate. And it starts with a story, as all these good things do. Beautiful Parisian cafe, wonderful, wonderful. People drinking coffee. Big problem they have here is that waiter will treat you differently if you are British or American to a French customer, okay? Why? I'll tell you why. So what will normally happen at a coffee shop like this is the flow of behavior you go through at a coffee shop, a cafe like this in Paris, is you'll go, what's the first thing you'll do at this cafe? What's the first thing you'll do? Yeah, find a table to sit down on, okay? Again, there's a waiter there. It tells you the mental model you have to use, which is to go and sit down. The axiom is the waiter telling you what to do, okay? Classic design axiom. You go and you sit down, call the waiter over. Oh, yes, I'm going to have some coffee. Menu comes. Coffee, please. Coffee comes. You drink your coffee. What happens then? Hands up. You ask for the bill. Thank you very much. The bill comes to you. Money, you pay your money and off you go. Except that's not the case if you're British or American. Why not? Why do British and American people often leave somewhere like a cafe like this without paying? Why? What's the problem? Have you ever been in that experience where you've been to somewhere like this and you've gone, oh, have we paid? Have we paid yet? You're halfway down the street, have you paid? They treat you differently, you're British and American. Why? Because you learnt to buy and order coffee at Starbucks. So you go and you queue up, order your coffee. What do you do after you've ordered your coffee? You pay, all right? So your mental model of buying a coffee, if you're from the UK or the US, is just as a Starbucks model where you pay after you've ordered. If you're going to somewhere like the Parisian cafe, your mental model has changed. And that's slightly disconcerting, and it makes you think, if I paid and you're not quite sure what's going on. This is classic mental model theory. We take models of the world and we apply them to new and novel situations, okay? So anytime people are building a mental model of how something works, they take it from an existing one, like a Parisian cafe, and they point it at Starbucks. They take this Starbucks one, and they point it to an existing Parisian cafe. So what happened at Parisian cafe, at Starbucks when they opened in Paris? What did everybody do? They went in and they sat down and went, oh, the service is terrible here. And they had to put signs on there saying, please queue up now. Because again, the mental model people had in Paris of ordering a coffee was built from a different place. All right? Understanding your users' mental models will help you design better. And it'll help you innovate. Right, quick example. Let's go away for the weekend. So, mental model of booking a holiday or a holiday. You've all been on holiday before? Yeah, good. Things you might go through, some decisions. You decide what type of holiday to have. Beach, city, ski, spa, that kind of stuff. That's fair choice, choosing a holiday. Conversation you have with your partner, what do you fancy? Beach? Oh yeah, something relaxing, that'd be lovely. Oh, wonderful. I fancy something exciting. Let's do some shopping, let's go to the city. You get the point. Other things that you end up doing as well is deciding when to go. And you think, well, let's go away a weekend in May. Maybe what's a long weekend? What day does a long weekend start, officially? Is there an official definition of a long weekend? Thursday to Monday, maybe Friday to Sunday. If you're American, it's basically Saturday afternoon to Sunday morning. Sorry, I won't resist that. Us Europeans have a lot more time on our hands. But again, there's no agreed standard of a long weekend. Maybe it starts on a Thursday, maybe it starts on a Friday, maybe it finishes on a Monday, maybe it finishes on a Sunday. Classic conversation, how long should we go for? First or third weekend? Oh yeah, we've got that wedding on the second week. Yeah, we've got the wedding, we can only go the first or the third weekend. Normal conversation to have, all right? If you're going away with just you and your partner, school holidays, do you want to go away at half term if it's just the two of you? Oof, of course not, you do not. No way at all. You want to avoid school holidays. Conversations you have. Yeah, when is school holiday? I don't know when school holiday. That's the conversation you have. The problems people go through. And then you sort of think about, well, where do we go? Where should we go? Should we drive, fly, train? What's the best way to do this stuff? How far should we travel? And the number one metric of travel that people go, should we travel 200 miles? No, let's go. How do people measure travel distance when they're planning a holiday? Time. You say, oh, let's drive maybe 3 hours, or take the train for 3 hours, or fly for 2 hours. That's the conversation you have about booking a holiday, all right? This is a classic mental model of how people would book a holiday. They have all of these conversations, all right? And it ends up with a statement like this. Let's go to the beach, fly, maybe 3 hours on the first or third weekend in May. That is the mental model of how people would expect to have and book a holiday. That's what you'd have said to your travel agent back in the day when we used to have them, before we all put them out of work. And I've been a part of that as well. Oh, yeah, that hit a nerve there. Nobody laughed, did they? All right, so that's the sort of thing you might have. You might hear this stuff. And then you can take this mental model and you can go and look at your competitors. You can go try and understand what your competitors are trying to do. So maybe your competitor is Expedia. Sorry if you're in the house here. I have worked with you before. And you can start to look at Expedia and go, whoa, how are Expedia doing in terms of an organization? How are they doing? You know, they're doing pretty well. Let's have a look. Can you... Oh, look, they've got beach, they've got city breaks, good stuff. Good stuff, well done, Expedia. And then you look at it and you go, well, long weekend away, departing DDMMYY. Ooh. Can you put a long weekend into that search box for me? Is it possible? Can you search for the first or the third weekend in May? Can you do that? Can you go, where do you want to go? Destination, nothing says holiday like city or airport, does it? No, facetious comment, but you get the point, all right? It'd be great to put in there, I want to travel for 3 hours and get somewhere. So you can start to evaluate new features your competitors are doing from a simple mental model like that. Forgetting what color the buttons are or what that sort of stuff is, that's easy. I told you before, interaction design is straightforward. The hard bit is evaluating experiences. And mental models you can use to evaluate experiences, they are great at it. Fantastic for evaluating experiences and mental models. But wonderfully, they're also very, very good at what? What can you see from this? What would be a fantastic way to redesign a homepage? What would be a great tool to introduce? Let's take drive for 3 hours away. What would be a great tool to find a destination? What would be a great search tool? Yeah, maps. Show me beaches that are 3 hours flight away from where I live. There is innovation in the travel space, right there from a simple thing. Show me long weekends in May at the beach. That's the conversation you want to have with something like Expedia, but the UI doesn't let you do it. There is innovation right there from a simple statement and a little bit of insight from a bit of user research about the mental model. That is where your innovation and your experience is going to come from, is from a mental model. All right? It's not going to come from shifting your search box to the right-hand side or turning your button green or blue. That stuff is easy, okay? Innovation comes from mental models, because mental models are evaluative and generative. How do you feel about that, ladies and gentlemen? Have a think about that for a little bit now. I'm doing that primary school teacher thing again, aren't I? Mental models are fantastic for transforming experiences, okay? So if you take one thing away from today, let it be this. Oh, no, never eat shredded wheat. I mean, do eat shredded wheat. Sorry if you're here from Nestle and shredded wheat. I didn't mean this to take this personally. But again, a product manager who doesn't understand psychology is going to be no more successful than an architect who doesn't understand physics. Look, it's like I've planned this today, isn't it? Look, here we go. Come on, 140 characters, squeeze it in. My mum loves this stuff. She still doesn't know what I do. But the interesting thing about this is the psychology you need to understand is procedural knowledge flows. What are the steps people go through to help design the interactions? To help innovate and take your product to the next level, you need to understand the experiences, and the insight comes from mental models, okay? And by the way, don't get involved in all that grimy stuff around nudge, shoving people into doing the things they should be doing, manipulating people's behaviors. That stuff simply, you might get a tiny incremental increase in terms of your bottom line, but it's not going to have a huge effect as the two psychological theories I've given you about procedural knowledge and mental models. They will transform your products. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time today.